Okay, this is our next step in section 2.2. We're going to be multiplying fractions. Multiplying fractions is actually quite easy. In order to multiply fractions, the first thing that we want to do is cancel if possible, because if we cancel, then we won't have to do the reducing afterward, make an equivalent form that has no common factors. Then we multiply our numerators, and then we multiply our denominators straight across, and then we reduce it or we change it to a mixed number if it's absolutely necessary. If we canceled at the beginning, we shouldn't have to reduce, but you should always check. So we're going to do here example number 8 to show you how to multiply. And as I said, this is a pretty easy process. So when I look at these two fractions here, what I want to do is I want to compare the numerators and the denominators to see if we have anything that can cancel, if there's any common factors. Remember, canceling is dividing out a common factor, so that's what I would be doing. But there's nothing in common. Those are all primes, so I'm just going to say, okay, I'm done with that. And then I'll do the next step. Multiply the numerators. 2 times 5 is equal to 10. And now I like to kind of show you exactly what I'm doing the first time around. I don't require you to do this, okay? You can just do it in your head, but I'm going to show you what it is that I'm doing. 2 times 5 is going to give me that 10. And then denominators multiply as well, 3 times 7. So again, I'm going to physically show you that this first time around, just like that. And 3 times 7 giving us 21. And now there's no factors in common. This is an even number, and its other factor is 5, and this is not even, and it's not divisible by 5, and therefore I know that it does not reduce at all. You should look at the other lecture that I'm going to prepare that really doesn't have too much to do with this section, just talking about common factors and common sense ways of looking at division. Okay, problem number 2 here, or part B of example number 8, we do have some common factors here. So you notice that the 2 and the 8 have something in common. Now we could certainly proceed just as we did here in part A, but if we do that, what we're going to have to do is reduce in the end. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, 8 and 2, what do they have in common? Well, they both have a 2 in common. So I'm going to cancel this and say 2 divided by 2 is equal to what? 1. And 8, I'm going to divide it by 2 as well. 8 divided by 2 is equal to what? Well, that's equal to 4. And that's what canceling looks like. Now I see there's no other common factors, so now I can proceed as I did in part A. The numerators multiply. 3 times 1 is equal to my numerator. And as I said before, I'm going to be very explicit and write it out this time. You don't have to write this step right here that I'm doing. 3 times 1 is equal to 3. And then the denominators, 4 times 5 multiplies. So 4 times 5, and then that gives me my new denominator, which is 20. 3 is a prime, it doesn't go into 20, and therefore I know it doesn't reduce. It is a proper fraction, so there's no changing it into a mixed number. And that's how we multiply fractions. That's quite easy. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is how to do it if we end up with an improper fraction, and if we have some changing to do. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure we know how to change a mixed number into an improper fraction and an improper fraction into a mixed number. So we're going to be multiplying 1 and 1/2 next times 1/2. But in order to do that, we have to change 1 and 1/2 into a mixed number. So if we have the mixed number 1 and 1/2, we have 1 and 1/2. In order to get that into a mixed number, we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply the 2 times the 1, and then we're going to add the 1. So we're going to get 3, and it goes over the original denominator. So that process goes multiply between here and here, and then add in this number here. So a little arrow that way and a little arrow that way, and that's how we make them improper fraction. And the only way we can multiply is by having improper fractions. In the next section, we're going to continue this example and see where it takes us from there.